Hey guys, welcome to the Health or High Water podcast. I'm joined with esteemed guest John Holcombe here. I'm ready to dive in, talk with him all about health to military stuff, him with some strategy work he does with businesses. First, a little quick shout out to our sponsor, Gene Planet. If you guys are looking for a more efficient way to figure out what's going on with your body, whether that's working out, nutrition, supplementation, injury risk and prevention, cancer, cardiovascular risk, I could keep going on and on. But if you want to quantitate and find out what's going on with your body and help with and build a program using people like me, go to geneplanet.com and use code APT on any genetic test that you like and get 30% off. That's code APT for 30% off if you want to quantitate and find out what's going on with your health profile. John, it's such a pleasure to have you on, man. How's it going?
Going great, Tripp. Thanks for having me today. It's actually my pleasure. It's working with you is truly a blast.
It's honestly, so for all the audience, we've been chatting it up before we got on here, and we hit on so many different levels of not only just the way we work, but spirituality. Being a man, all these different kind of things. It's just like John said, it has been an absolute blessing talking to him. But this episode is about you, my man, and about all the cool things that you've done working in the military. You're talking about some, if I could say it, active camouflage.
Yes.
Some active camouflage, which is I was telling him it sounds like some Star Wars stuff, and I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. Um, but that's so cool you worked with that, and now you've been working with some AI. I think it's called Global Nursing AI Alliance. What is this background of this eclectic background you got going on, and how'd you get to where you're at?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. No, yeah, I was truly blessed. Back in college, I kind of got into polymer chemistry. I was never really a good chemist, but I was more of an engineer and kind of channeling my inner geek, which was always good. And I had the great opportunity of the first company I worked for out of school. We actually took the 2-liter Coke bottles and soda bottles, all that kind of thing. Uh, Basically melted them down, made eco spun fiber that went into the Patagonia fleeces, things like that. And that was like 30 years ago before it was really well known. Super cool, and it's, the challenging process just to even do that. But, it was a neat way to start. And then I had the good fortune of actually getting to go to Gore. And what's really rare, especially nowadays, I had the chance to work with them for over 27 years, and because of that, I got to work across multiple industries, multiple technologies, and really enjoyed it. So one of the best things about that too was I think I shared with you the multispectral camouflage. It's really trying to work through that and build that business from scratch. But the one of the things that really I enjoyed about it is it definitely takes a team, right? It's never a singular person to be successful, and that was one of the things that was just so powerful. Really enjoyed that, and getting to build a team from the ground up of like literally bringing in the best subject matter experts. Which can have its own team dynamic challenges when you but that does teach you a lot, right? How do you take these eclectic personalities as well? And I actually did that, and I had the good fortune then of one of the other leaders from a different division tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, John, we're having this challenge in the pharma business, and we really need somebody to help come in and turn this into a real business. We've got the initial concept, but we really need some help." And so it was really a great transition of getting to work in and build another team and really work across an entire value chain.
Right.
So one of the really cool things about that was working directly with pharma, then also different parts of the value chain to make sure that the technology could be delivered and it could be delivered on the timelines they wanted, and really just wonderful opportunity to do that. And again, I think the key was building those small teams. And so long story short, I got to do that a few more times, but then I had a chance to step out on my own. Part of what's really encouraged me is like, helping our fellow entrepreneurs. It's we talked about it a little bit earlier, right? It can be lonely sometimes for
Yeah.
and executives. Anytime that you're kind of leading change or leading something new, because you're the subject matter expert most often than not, but yet you still need to work some of these other elements of the business. And so that's how I got into I'd say the business consulting as well as the executive coaching to really help folks out. And part of that passion of helping others, right? Of having that safe space to be able to communicate the big ideas, but then also, hey, how do we execute? Because sometimes you're going into that rapid scaling phase of some businesses, and it's tough because you now have to, instead of take it all on yourself, how do I empower others to help, right? And build that collection of team.
Well, one thing I really like, and I think I'm really similar in this aspect, is I've done a lot of weird things. Like I'm a musician. I'm in genetics. We're both authors. Um, you have such and I use this word, like literally eclectic background in these different things, and I think people are so hard point niche one direction with how they, whatever their business is. Like it's only hormones, or it's only this class of finance, or however you want to put it. And I think to understand how this industry works, how to use data in our favor, is you have to be really well-rounded, right? You have to understand how multiple different processes work. You have to understand that the important data, especially with this latest boom of hey, there's a bunch of data. How do we aggregate it? How do we use it? And what do we do with it, right? And that's got to be a hard problem to solve. But did you ever feel like, because of all these different backgrounds, do you feel like it helped you solve those problems because you were able to think differently?
No, definitely. And I think, just what you said there really highlights two things that come to mind immediately for me. Is one, like you pointed out, I mean, with the new technology like AI and some of these things, I know there's a big fear of how AI can be used, but the real fact is it is a tool, and even the large language models that are being used for AI have to be trained, right? So it's not like you can just pick up ChatGPT and then just put it into genetics. you know,
Right.
it's like, okay, it'll pull off some of the things that are in the public domain, but it hasn't been trained right on the right data set. And I think that, to your point, is so important for folks to realize. That's where folks like us come in, is we provide that insight, right? And I think that's the power of the next generation of using AI, is how do we help provide the right insight and guide it. And I think that's where I do agree with you. I think our eclectic background, right, help us see through sometimes the lack of clarity, because in a lot of cases, you know, one of the things I learned from moving into different businesses and working across, consumer, military, pharma, some of the chemical, agricultural industry, things like that. Most of the basic business parts are the same, right? The technology is definitely different,
Yeah.
um, but it's how we see those patterns, and it's sort of like, for me, the big transition point was going from being like the subject matter expert, being one of the co-inventors of the multispectral camouflage work that we were doing, to okay, now we need to bring in the subject matter expert. So when I transitioned to pharma, I was not the subject matter expert at first, and over time, I would probably argue, I'd never be the full subject matter expert on the technology, but I knew how to give the broad story. I knew the value. I knew how to tie those pieces together, and most importantly, how to bring the people together, right? That were the actual glue that made it happen. So yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Well, and I love the team aspect. Rome wasn't built in the day. Whatever analogy or metaphor you want to use for that. We're only as smart as the people we surround ourselves with.
Absolutely.
right? And teamwork. And John and I were talking before too about this will be a great for anyone listening, potentially doing a men's Christian group, entrepreneurship specific. You're just going over problems and those kind of things. But I kind of forgot what I was going with. I was so excited about the group. I started so excited about that group stuff.
No worries.
But anyway, getting back to this eclectic background, understanding different issues and what have you. Oh, the teamwork thing, the teamwork, right? Um, Even one bad apple in a team can ruin the process. And picking the right people is one of the hardest. I would argue one of the hardest parts about this. Um,
Yeah.
do you have any like suggestions for other entrepreneurs out there, or maybe other business owners out there that are like, I keep on hiring just duds?
No, I think sometimes too, especially the urge when things are really starting to mount and it's becoming real, right? You've really got it's all or nothing type approach for the business to kind of grow and, kind of survive and prosper, right? Sometimes we can take that shortcut and think like, oh, well, I just need that warm body, right, to help work through some of this. And I think to your point, that's so important. Like taking the extra month, for instance, while it can be painful, right, you've got to take some of that work on. Finding the right person though that can actually be part of the team is just so critical. Because it can tear the team apart. It can actually tear a high performing team apart if you don't balance it out or take care of it, take care of the issue.
two,
I,
two,
I, yep, go ahead.
Sorry, two big things I really want to touch on that for health and wellness reasons is number one, a lot of us business owners are under you can't even imagine the amount of stress that is under a business owner, especially when they're providing for family members. Maybe they got sick ones at home. The pressure is insane to try to make sure you're providing and doing the right thing. So having the mental stress of having the right people in place can make or break your ability to continue on with your business. Because I know a lot of people that have gotten business with the wrong people. The entire business fell apart. It wrecked people mentally, physically.
Absolutely.
This takes everything from you. So having that mental clarity is invaluable, completely. And then number two is you've really got to surround yourself people with the same mission, right? And it could be different stories, different backgrounds. As long as your business is mission driven, right, and what have you, you're actually able to spearhead this direction. And I used to play football back in 2018, and you're only as good as all 11 people,
Absolutely.
right? And that whole aspect of you got to work together to make sure you push this ball across even 1 yard if we need it, just 1 yard. That's huge. So I want everyone like listening, making sure like you got your mental health is really important to make sure that you're surviving in business.
Yeah, I can't highlight that enough, too. I mean, and I think all of us have probably gone through some struggles, especially, like you said, as the provider for families and things like that. We take a lot on, and that mental health, it can come crashing down, especially when we're not seeking out, even those sounding boards, right? Or the folks like, I love your podcast here too, because bringing together like-minded folks and being able to share ideas and sometimes just have that support network, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes just knowing somebody's there. Because I do think, to your point, that mental health piece is so easily overlooked, and you don't know it until everything's crashing in. And if you really though have the support of friends, of family, and a true healthy network, one concept I like that I still try to use today is a personal board of directors. Because we all do need that guidance. And so whether it's the spiritual guidance of, okay, who's the minister that I'm working with on a regular basis?
Right.
Who's my business mentor that I'm working with on a regular basis? Who is my, especially depending on the size of the team, like who is my person that has the true pulse of the team, right? The true health of what's going on. And how do we pull all that together so that it's not all on our shoulders. We can share that load.
It's no different than what you're using all this data for your work to aggregate, making sure that's usable.
Exactly.
It's honestly this in my head is kind of that same process, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And not being afraid to ask others for help, right? One of the things I've definitely found, especially talking to folks like yourself and some of these other thought leaders, they often want to share their knowledge. And just the thought that you're reaching out and asking, you'd be amazed how many people will help. And that's where I really love this like type of interaction. Our goal is to try to help others, right? Be successful and really grow. So I really enjoy the whole process, right? That you're driving with the outcome of the show.
That's something I want to real quick before I jump into your Global Nursing AI Alliance stuff. The reason John and I feel like we hit it off right away is we're both mission orientated, right? We have certain goals that are beyond just monetary value. Of hey, listen, and we all got to make ends meet, right? We all do, but there's a huge factor beyond that of hey, there's people that need help. I feel like I can really make a dent in that situation, especially with the help of the good Lord upstairs, especially this your mission, and that's when people start melding together with certain ideas. So for all of you out there that are trying to lone wolf this, I can do this myself. No, you can't. No, you can't, and it's going to take a lot of weight off your shoulders as soon as you admit that hey, if I had maybe a friend or two to help out, the right friend or two to help, this would be a lot different. He might be able to provide a job for them down the road. Right. That's the other huge thing out of that. So take account of your circle. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people. You're the 5 people you surround yourself with most. So if there's 5 duds, you're going to be the 6th dud. Make sure I try to surround myself with people smarter than me, just like John here. This dude is smart as you know what. But so you've got your own. It's called strategy partnership. You're helping monetizing innovation, those different kind of things. You've got J&H leadership strategy. How did this Global Nursing AI Alliance happen? What's all to do with that?
Yeah, and it's really exciting. So I'm helping them in an advisory capacity, and oh my gosh, Vanessa is just, and definitely I'd encourage the audience to look up. Vanessa is just really got a clear mission, right? Somewhere what we're trying to do to really help the global nursing community and the patients, by leveraging what AI can do. And you think about, so I'll just give a simple example. You go to some of these parts of the country and you literally do have a medical desert, right? You may have a general practitioner, but God forbid if anything goes wrong, you don't have the same care. AI though can help over time, right, with the guidance of some I'd say bright software engineers and bright medical folks, can really bring some different capabilities to the market. And so when Vanessa reached out to me a couple months ago, she asked me to come on in an advisory capacity, and I jumped at the chance. It's an opportunity for me to volunteer my time to really help, because it's it's a nonprofit organization, really focused on trying to help that nursing community and have that seat at the table to drive their needs, right, to be able to provide the best care possible. And I think by doing that and partnering with folks, it opens up the doors to so many different possibilities and how we might be able to help others too. So I really enjoy it. I know there's going to be a lot more work coming up here with them this coming year. And I'm really looking forward to 2026 because of some of the challenges that they're trying to do. But she, out of the gate, has already built a strong U.S. presence and then has turned it into a global alliance, putting the right leadership teams in place. So, and it's just so inspiring when you see, right, folks that are really trying to follow that mission to create a better healthcare system.
Well, one thing I want to tell the audience. So John talked about a medical desert. Okay. Why this is super important, I'll give you a real world example. We're down here in Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina. It's considered a medical desert. When my mom had her stroke, there was no neurologist for 6 months. So once the damage was done, done, right? So what this work he's doing about understanding data better and making sure that it can be applied in these situations is going to help people like my family who went through, not only a traumatic situation but then couldn't get help. So really big, real world. Just wanted to throw that piece in there to make sure the audience gets how important this kind of information is, and especially how it can be applied. Um, getting back into this reoccurring theme that I love hearing is innovation.
Mhm.
I absolutely love that you keep on using this word innovation, and that's kind of where not kind of, but 100% where I want all this healthcare wellness. I want it to be quantitative. I want it to go somewhere. What does innovation mean to you, and how are you? Obviously, you've got a track record of being a great innovator. So, even down to the point, what does innovation mean to you? Like, and what does it mean?
No, it's a great question because actually, when I was starting in my book, I actually went to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, pulled out the exact definition of innovation, and basically it is any sort of technical change, positive change. But so it's a very ambiguous definition,
Right.
but then you start, like I think you said, tying it back to the mission type focus, right? I think innovation, the magic happens when you can have that mission, that clear goal, right, that we're striving for. One of the things, and I can say it's real simple, like for the multispectral camouflage, we did a lot of work for the special forces. And, really at the end of the day, we were doing the work to protect those that protect us. And that's a really easy vision to wrap your head around, right? And then we can put some of those missions and those goals in place. Okay, here's how we're providing value. Here is the work that we're going to do, and break that out. And I think the same thing is, with the pharma example. In pharma, a lot of these new sensitive biologics that have come out had issues with their primary packaging, the containers that basically held the medicine, especially with the use of pre-filled syringes. There's pre-filled syringes have a host of benefits because they can go like in the auto pen injectors and all sorts of things. But there's problems with some of the materials interacting with the sensitive biologic, and then that would cause the drug product to become unstable. And so, that was another example of, hey, we have some technology and some materials that could really address that challenge. Again, not getting into all the technical details, but that was what was really powerful, and it was really easy to align the team around that, right? Because these were products that some folks would not have reliable access to without, and literally, patient compliance is one of the biggest issues in healthcare, and especially if you're in a medical desert, like the example that you shared. Not only is it then the specialist, it's like, what if there's special medicines that they need, and how do you work through that? And so I think definitely this innovation that's happening with AI is really powerful by bringing the subject matter experts together that are the software data people, the medical professionals that know what data needs to be there, because you can work around all the HIPAA, you can work around all of that. And I would encourage too, if folks want to learn more about this, did a podcast with Timothy Chow, and he is actually, his organization, nonprofit that he just started, is the Pediatric Moonshot. And it's focused on just that. How do we deliver these drugs, these treatments to folks that are either in a medical desert? Also, as we talk about this precision medicine, AI, if used correctly, can really help guide us towards that and help individuals have the right medicine regardless of where they are in the world. And, I think some of those things, that's where innovation, in my mind, that's why it's a nebulous definition. I will say, though, at the end of the day, for innovation's sake, is not that valuable, but innovation for solving these real world challenges and and making money. I think that's the other thing. Sometimes capitalism can get a bad rap, but in reality, right, capitalism is what helps us grow the community, grow those that we care about, take care of our family. So they don't have to be counterproductive. In fact, I think they go hand in hand, especially if you put that mission first, like you've highlighted.
I got to come back to that too. And what I'm hearing really big in my head right now is really innovation comes through mission. It has to, right? So if everyone out there like, oh, I'm innovating, whatever. What kind of mission are you trying to solve? Are you trying to build a video game that makes people really happy, that can get away from it all? Are you building active camouflage to protect our active military that's trying to protect us? What is the mission? Or like me, like I'm trying to make sure that people don't have strokes and cancer and trying to prevent those things from happening down the road because I know it happens if we don't.
Absolutely.
So make sure you guys are thinking about innovation. Entrepreneurs right now listening to this podcast that have their own businesses, make sure that your mission is pure, right? Make sure, and the innovation will come because it has to. You'll keep on thinking about the problem, and solutions will keep coming to you, and you'll think about it differently, and especially wrapping it back in to being eclectic, having a good background, you'll be able to solve those problems.
Yeah, no, I think that's so important, Tripp, and I do think that's one of the things that is a true need too, right? You have to be solving a real problem. And what is it that the customer needs, whether it's a direct consumer, whether it's a patient, whether it's another business. It has to be, we have to understand that problem, and like you said, having that mission. Okay, this is what we're trying to accomplish up front. Here are the problems that we're trying to solve. That level of clarity should drive then any of the innovation steps.
I gotta agree with you, man, 100%. And one other thing too, I want to add. I know we're getting close to time, and I'll give you some time to plug all these cool things that you got going on. What I'm hearing too, and something that's really been going on, and especially in this healthcare industry, is individualization. Right? John's talking about maybe people are in medical desert that don't have the right medicine. It's like, how do we make sure that these individuals have what they need? Because there is no fishnet approach to this.
Right.
So, John, where can people find you? I know you got a book out there. You got your own podcast. I want to make sure people have that. I'm going to put all the links in the bio below. But shout out all the cool stuff you got going on, man.
No, thank you so much, Tripp. Yeah, for probably the first stop is my website, jhleadership.com. Then also I have the podcast has gone live on Spotify, and it's called Monetizing Innovation. And that is actually going to be, the book is in process. I should have it released first quarter. Should also, if it's not called Monetizing Innovation, it's going to be a similar title to that. And I have lots of other resources on the website and through some of these things. And just, my goal is to try to help people meet them where they're at, help them be successful, and really appreciate the opportunity to have the discussion today.
100%, man. Make sure you guys are going to go check out his podcast. Make sure you guys are check out his book, the website, check out the whole deal. John is a real deal. Make sure you guys are checking it out. One final note I want to leave everybody on. We talked about this. We talked about who you surround yourself with. Back when I was a little bit of a screw up as a teenager, I surrounded myself with the wrong people. Right? You could typically tell them when they don't have jobs. They're typically drinking a lot. There's all these different factors to it. But once you can tell, if there's any piece of advice you guys can take from this episode, is surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, that are doing better than you, and that want better for you. Because those people that are dragging you down, they want nothing more than to drag you down with them. So, John, thank you so much for coming on this episode of the Health or High Water podcast. Make sure you guys are checking out all the cool things he's got going on. I can't wait to see what he does with this AI stuff, and maybe there's some cool things between John and I down the road with this, maybe some business partnerships, maybe even working with this men's group. So make sure you guys are checking that out, looking out for that. Follow both of us on social media. Make sure you guys are telling your friends, families, cousins, all about this podcast, even some squirrels out front. You never know. May God be with you guys, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thanks, Tripp.